Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Qualtrics Skills Checklist video. My name is Dr. Lydia Droke and I want to finish with steps 9 through 28. This slide shows where we're picking up to continue on with our checklist. For skill number 9, we're going to a forced response selection. So let's go back up to this question, and let's say we want to make sure that people have to provide a response. So we are going to look for add requirements. We have forced response and request response. If we're going to do a forced response, I generally like to make sure that we add at least one more answer option. And let's see, where is the choice? We're going to do 6. And 6 is going to be refuse. This way people can refuse to answer the question, but they have to actively refuse. They can't passively refuse. If you don't want to have to add that option, we can go with request response. That way Qualtrics will tell them, hey, you missed one. Did you mean to miss this? If you want to, you can continue without answering it. But again, my personal preference is force response and then let them refuse to answer actively. Skill 10 is to create a new question, which we've already done, but we'll look at it one more time. So whenever you hover over a question, you'll get these little plus marks. You can click that, or you can click Add New Question. The nice thing about this option is it'll let you automatically start in whatever format you want. Skill number 11 is to reorder the questions. In order to do that, we can click on, when we get that little icon, you can see the little blue line, and you can move the question up and down. There are other ways to do that if you want to, but that's the fastest way. Skill 12 is to renumber the question. So if you want to, you can go in here and make this number, let's say 8. No one else will see these numbers. They're just for you. So it's just a skill in case you want to make sure that once you reorder them, you can see them in the correct numbering order. Skill 13 is adjust progress bar. In order to do that, we're going to need to add one. To do that, we're going to click on this little paint roller. And then we are going to click on layout. Nope. General. Okay. Progress bar. Right now we have none. With verbose text is my personal preference. Right now it says at the top. I like it to be at the bottom of the page, so that way when you're done scrolling the page you can see. And so this is what our progress bar looks like. So we can adjust that to where it's at and how much text it has. So it says with text, which is just the little numbers on the side. So, but my preference is again with verbose text. Skill number 14 is going to be enable back button. So that's just here. We click on the drop down and we have the back button is enabled, so that way people can go back and forth in the survey. You may not always want this, but this is kind of a nice feature, especially as your surveys get longer. One other quick comment, when you're working in this screen, you will have to click the apply button to make sure that you save your work. So we're going to go ahead and move on to step number 15, and that's going to take us to this little icon, survey options. That's where it's saying you make sure you click save. All right, our first one with 15 is enable response saving. So basically we want people to be able to come back and complete it at a later time. We can turn on the back button here, allow respondents to finish at later time. So that's what we want. We want to make sure it's on, so you can turn it off and on here. Number 16 is password protecting your survey. I believe that's going to be in our security. So password protection, if you want to do that, so that way only certain people can come in, you can do that. Our next one is prevent multiple responses, which is the ballot box stuffing. Definitely a big one. So prevent multiple submissions. We definitely want to turn that on, so that way people can only complete it once. And where are we at next? Add survey end date. In order to adjust that end date, we're going to go back up here. We're going to go to responses and how long. We have 1 week. We can do that. We can also just say that the survey ends at a certain time. Let's see. I think that's what it wants. All right, and that's set specific start and expiration date. So you can adjust those if you want to do that. These are the major options within this area. We're going to move on to another area. Skill number 20 is export survey to Word. So we're going to click on tools, import export. We are going to export survey to Word. You can export it to other formats, but Word is going to be the most useful. And we're going to click the export button. It's going to take it a second. Okay. And this is what it looks like when it exports. So you can see it will not set up on the page perfectly, but it gives you a pretty good idea, so you know what it will look like in a Word format. Step 21 is arguably one of the most important steps to generate reusable links. So to do that, we're going to go to distributions. And then we want generate single reusable link. and then we copy this link and we're going to post it wherever we want people to access it. So if you're posting on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, email, whatever platform you're using, you just email that link to someone and they'll be able to get to your survey. As you collect data, you're going to want to look at completed responses and responses in progress. To do that, we need to go to the data and analysis. All right, we can see that right now, obviously, nobody's completed the survey. So what we can see is recorded responses is where you'll see completed ones, and then responses in progress is 0. So this is where you would look. It will have a in this window, you'll see a column for each of the variables that you've entered, and you'll see answers for each of the. You'll see the answers that each person has provided you. So, but this is where you'll look, and it'll look different once you actually get responses in there. Steps 24 and 25 are exporting data. One is to Excel, one is to SPSS. In order to do that, we need to be in this window. We'll click the export and import, export data. You have a variety of different options. CSV is what comma separated values. This is great for Excel. And then you can also do, now they do have an Excel options. They didn't used to when I first started working in Qualtrics. And then of course you have SPSS to download into an SPSS file. Our last 3 skills are copy survey, share survey, and edit member access to survey. All of these are going to be accessed in the same area. So we see our survey, we see the 3 little dots, we click on that. We see copy project, so this is going to be our copy. I always recommend just making some sort of notation. This puts copy version 2. Another way you can do that. While that's loading, we are going to look at sharing the survey. And when I say share survey, I don't mean sharing it for distribution purposes, sharing it with your team members or sharing it with me if I need to be able to look at it. So we're going to click on collaborate. And in here, I'm going to type in my name. And let's see, I think it needs an email address. State.edu. Let's see. No. It doesn't like that, but anywho, you'll type in your address. You can put in a message in there to see if they can do that. To let them know who's contacting them and why. All right, since we need to be able to see the other option, we're going to click on the user book. We're going to go with Dr. Nelson. And we'll click add selected. So what we have here are the editing details. So this is editing member access to the survey, what they can and cannot do. So if we want him to be able to distribute the survey, do we want him to be able to make copies of the survey, do we want him to be able to activate or deactivate the survey, view reports. The big one for me though is the editing details. A lot of times you have people who, you know, may have disagreements, whatnot. This is one of the things for me personally. I always like to take off the edit ability on the main survey. I might give them editing abilities on a copy of the survey, so that way I always keep access to the original, but this way you can go through and basically prevent someone from deleting or editing irreparably the original content of the survey. So in that case, I would say no editing that. They can't delete survey questions, or in all honesty, I would just click that one completely. Then you'll click save and it'll send them an email. Okay. And then, do you really want to continue without? Yes. Dr. Nelson probably does not want to be invited to this random survey. Yes. All right. If you have any questions about this checklist, please do not hesitate to email me. Hopefully you found this helpful.